DroneTalks is an online platform to spread ideas and to educate in the drone ecosystem. At DroneTalks, we discuss technology, regulatory, business, and ecosystem topics openly with industry leaders to enable and foster innovation for a better future.
Hi everyone, I'm Esther Kovac, founder of DroneTalks, and today I am talking with Nicholas Flom. Nicholas is the executive director at Northern Plains UAS test site. Hi Nicholas.
Hi Esther, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks for accepting my invitation.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
So my first question is that I went through your LinkedIn profile as I always do, and I saw that you have an aviation background. So I'm just wondering, what was your first thought when someone said to you, hey, there are drones here, they could be a great innovation for different use cases?
You know, so my very first introduction on the drone side of things was actually, I was working for a company that had a contract to do some training of military drones for the United States Air Force. So kind of my first recollection was, from a DoD purpose. And then we built some courseware on that, and then immediately we went into showing on how drones could be used for first responders, for law enforcement agencies. So, right out of the gate, my introduction to drone was always, I'll say, more from a tool standpoint or, supporting element, and which is very different than a lot of people who are introduced to drones at a consumer level, and not necessarily at a tool level. So I probably had a slight advantage, right out of the gate that, I looked at it from a professional standpoint, an aviation standpoint, not necessarily from a consumer product type of standpoint.
That's a good enter to the market. And so if I want to explain to my mom or anyone who is not involved in the drone industry what your company does, what would I say? How could I explain it the best?
That's a good question, because I have to explain it to my mom as well. What do I do every day? So the very first thing that we do is, so we're a test site, UAS test site. It was designated by the FAA about 7 years ago. And this is a place where we can get appropriate approvals to get into the airspace that you probably wouldn't be able to get on your own for research type of initiatives. And, over the years, we've been able to grow that to be able to accommodate small UAS that are maybe used for, different types of applications. If that's linear inspections of a transmission line or surveying of a field for agricultural purposes, we've been able to support that. All the way up to large UAS that are flying, above 10,000 feet in controlled airspace, flying long distances. We've got the capabilities to really accommodate all of that. So it's a place to, if the product is brand new and it needs a test location, we can do that. If it's an application that's new, that, like in agriculture, we can support that side of it as well. Sometimes it's additional systems to support UAS, like the subsystem level, if that's the command and control radios, the radars for detect and avoid. We also have an environment that can support that as well.
That sounds really interesting. So it's in North Dakota, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, there is this test site in North Dakota. How can it influence, I don't know, a project in Europe or anyone else, or does it influence at all?
I think it does. I think that these are, what we're able to do is, we're able to demonstrate capabilities that maybe wouldn't have been able to be done somewhere else. And we're not necessarily limited to where, what regulator, what civil aviation authority is going to want to know that, hey, when I'm coming in to fly your product, and if I can say that, hey, we're able to demonstrate that capability, in the United States with the North Dakota UAS test site, under the provisions of the Federal Aviation Administration, there's value to that. There's value to be able to show that you're able to do your testing in a regulated environment, which is for a regulator, that goes a long ways for them.
Yes, I think this is really great because, in Europe, there are these use-based regulation accepted, I'm not sure if you are aware, but that means more and more test projects, sandbox project gonna come because the use space is gonna be reality in 2 years. That means that, you know, these test sites gonna have even more strategic focus than before. So on the other hand, if you know, if I understood well, your program was initially funded by the government, right?
We've actually not gotten any government funding. This was it was an award from
great.
the FAA that was I'll say a non-funded initiative. So this was actually that we've had in order to support it, we've had state dollars. However, because of that designation, we have been able to bring on get some federally funded projects. We've supported NASA with their UAS traffic management, you know, their build outs. We've been able to support the FAA. So we've gotten federal funding to support specific initiatives, but not necessarily for the organization itself.
Why would a state invest in a test site? So you think they see the strategic importance of these test sites?
So I'll tell you why North Dakota, why we think that this is important. We have our economy for our state is very commodity based. We're the second largest oil producing state in the country. We're also very heavy in agriculture. So again, when you're reliant on the fluctuation of a market, when the prices are high, the state's in great financial shape. When it's low, you know, we have challenges. So we wanted to diversify our economy, and really by introduction of technology. And can we bring in technology jobs? Because technology jobs can always they're always going to be there. They're not going to fluctuate with the market. So we've done this as an introduction to the state. So if you come in to North Dakota to do testing, you know, we'd love for you to stick around. We'd love for you to do research with our research universities. We'd love for you to set up an office, if that makes sense. And what we found over the years is it's really started to create this UAS ecosystem where a lot of projects, I actually need to reach back out to our partners within the state to be able to support them. So, you know, we're contributing to the ecosystem. On the other side of it is they have an incredible opportunity to do work with us and be able to demonstrate things that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. So we've, you know, the strategy of like, let's get a test site, let's use this to create jobs in the state of North Dakota. It's worked. I mean, we're doing a good job of that, and we're looking for more and more of those types of opportunities in the future as well.
That sounds really interesting. And you mentioned one of the vertical is the agriculture, right? Where drone used, and there is a huge need in North Dakota, and the other the oil industry, and I think both industries utilizing drones heavily. Correct. So what other verticals you supporting?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that not only are our biggest producers are great use cases for drones, but other side of the verticals, we're starting to see other types of linear inspections. If that's to support our electric utilities, seeing big growth there. Even our state, our state using the technology, our North Dakota Department of Transportation, to be able to do road inspections. And then another kind of big one is we're a very rural state. If I can give our first responders and our law enforcement agencies some additional tools that can help them with their job, we've really been able to push the drone capabilities over to them, provide the appropriate training and, so that they can use it in a positive manner as well.
Totally agree. And, at DroneTalks, one of our focus areas is the social acceptance of drones. And you seem like very well connected in North Dakota. So I was just wondering, what's your experience about social acceptance, and what do you think also as an industry we should, do regarding that?
We have a lot of lessons learned on, the public outreach part of it. And again, we're small, which actually means that people have a voice. A lot easier to have a voice because I probably know, I probably know them and I can have the conversation. But it's really important to get out there. One of the things as we've started to build out, within the state, and I think we'll talk about a little bit on the Vanta side of things. What we've done is we've actually found some additional outreach that needs to be done. One of the outreach is the pilot community, the aviation community already within the state, making sure that they're accepting, and have a good understanding of what's going on. Like you said, a lot of this has been introduced at a consumer level, the toy, and the pilot wants to make sure that what we're doing is not going to affect their operation. So we've absolutely had a big push, holding forums, holding town hall meetings with our pilot communities. And we've also put together some research committees that look at the type of work that we're doing and get a cross-section of the community, from business leaders to university researchers to, you name it, great cross-representation, across the board. And we go, hey, if we're going to go out here and fly, what kind of concerns do you have? And what could I do to help mitigate those concerns? Privacy concerns, of course, is very important. Data that's being collected, how are you protecting that? How are you making sure that doesn't get into a competitive standpoint from, an agricultural, land use? So we've been very proactive through the integration pilot program that the FAA had. Now with Beyond, they're kind of their next step, and we're really taking a lot of those steps to heart to make sure that we have that community engagement as really this foundational piece as we're deploying infrastructure to support more and more advanced UAS technology within the state.
That's fantastic, and I'm really glad to hear that you take it very serious, this topic. Just out of interest, shortly, what are your key takeaways from the discussions you had? Like privacy, it's always, a challenge, and I guess data protection, as you mentioned, but anything else?
Just the fear of the unknown, of just giving them an opportunity when they hear specifically what's going on and how it's being used. I don't, from our standpoint, we have not felt that we've had a great amount of pushback. Generally it's the curiosity of, what is going on. And, we're already coming in some ways preloaded with a pretty good game plan to make sure that we're not going to have any issues. So putting all that together kind of puts everyone at ease, and we've probably already answered a lot of their challenging questions. And that's from the general public side of things. My pilot community, they might have some different types of concerns. How are you going to make sure that you don't run into me? Type of concerns, and so we have to have a conversation on what our responsibility as a drone operator is, because a lot of manned pilots might not know that a drone operator takes on a lot of responsibility to make sure that they are able to see other traffic that's out there and avoid them.
I cannot agree more, and I think education is the key. What you do fantastically in North Dakota. So thank you so much for the interview. It was a great pleasure.
Absolutely, thank you.
Brought to you by DroneTalks Online, a platform designed to spread ideas and educate in the drone ecosystem. Search for DroneTalks.online to hear from more of our industry leaders and to find out how you can get involved.